My name is Angelo Lopez. I'm a Filipino American political cartoonist who works in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I have the honor and the distinct pleasure to speak to a group of distinguished political cartoonists who have their cartoons in Pitik Bulag. Thank you all for taking your time to talk to me today. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm very honored to be talking to you all. Thank you. So I don't want to reveal anything about you that you don't want revealed. So would you mind if you just introduce yourselves and give like a brief bio of yourselves? I don't know who wants to start.
Start with Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey. Hey everyone. I'm happy and honored to be with these esteemed cartoonists and social commentators. My name is Zach. I'm a co-founder of Pitik Bulag, in which we belong to this artist collective. I've been cartooning ever since when I was in primary school, and miraculously, I'm still drawing cartoons. Think yeah, I'm just my cartoons, talk about most of the time national local issues happening in the Philippines, like social issues, and sometimes it's international. So yeah, that's all I can say.
Oh, okay.
How about you, Doc Robbie?
Hi. Good morning. Good evening to Angelo. I'm pleased to be here. Thank you for inviting us, this group. I'm I'm an orthopedic surgeon by profession. That's my day job. Um, I got into editorial cartooning rather accidentally. I've been cartooning for a while. I've been drawing more of the humorous kind, gag cartoons. Not I wasn't touching political cartoons for many years, but I got into this rather accidentally, since the start of the pandemic. We're all confined into our homes, right? So we've been checking out most our contact outside is mostly social media. And I came across this contest, editorial editorial cartooning by Pitik Bulag, and I decided to join. So one of my first entry garnered third place in the digital category. Zach would remember that quite clearly, and Dennis as well. Dennis is unfortunately not here. And I joined again for more cartoons later. Not necessarily winning, but it's a fun thing to do. So I sense that I have some degree of talent. So you might say some talent in interpreting the political scene into cartoons. And somehow I guess they also saw it, so they invited me into the group.
Oh,
And
good.
since then I've been regularly, not necessarily very frequently, been creating some cartoons.
Yeah.
And posting it in my own page, and which Pitik Bulag would share publicly. And that's it. But I'm still working on my gag cartoons. I actually have a published book, um, which is already out there since 10 years ago.
Oh.
So I'm still doing it. I'm still working on my next book. Not political, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. How about you, Steph?
Yeah, well, hi everyone. My name is Steph Bravo. My stage name is Steph B or Steph Bravo, and I'm surprised that to hear some similarities in our stories. with Sir Doc Robbie and Zach. Um, I started drawing also at a very young age. My first tablet, or my first what do you call this, canvas, was my mom's cabinet wall. I used to dribble their
Yeah.
cartoons using her lipstick and all that. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but at first I didn't want to take up fine arts when I was entering college, because I always had this, well, people would always say na, oh, I'm an artist, they only get rich when they die.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that to happen to me. I wanted to have a decent living, so,
Yeah.
but, so I took up food science in UP Los Baños. But like, I think art is really my destiny. So I quit after I left UP Los Baños after 3 years and went to UE to get a fine arts degree. And then I landed a job in Enquirer in 1998, I think. I almost didn't get in because there were two finalists then, no. So yung ako ang second runner up kasi beauty contest ako yung first runner up.
Oh,
And then siguro after weeks, after the final exam, the office suddenly called me and told me that the one they were supposed to hire turned out to be pregnant. So HR said no, that cannot be, because she would be applying for maternity leave soon after being, so they didn't want that. So they got me instead. And then what else? Like Doc, I also got into editorial cartooning by accident also, because our main we had an editorial cartoonist then, Jess Abrera. I know everybody knows Jess Abrera. And then we got this reliever for Jess when he got sick in 2000, in year 2000. I think he had a reliever. And then that reliever needed a reliever himself.
oh,
So that was me. It turned out to be. I didn't want to be an editorial cartoonist because I didn't know how to do caricatures. And I'm not really up to date with what's happening politically. Yeah. Even if I worked in the newspaper business, I didn't read the newspaper. I only read the sections that had my illustrations in it. So yun, I always tell them that, oh, if my editor-in-chief knew about that, I would be fired. Kasi, what? You work for a daily newspaper and you never read the newspaper completely. Only the lifestyle section. I only read the lifestyle section because it carried my illustrations. And
yeah,
this job description then was really as an layout, no, lifestyle section artist.
oh,
But they had no choice. Nobody wanted to be a reliever of the reliever of the editorial cartoonist, reliever. So it fell on my lap.
yeah.
I had to take it. My first editorial cartoon was really terrible. I had a lot of The office had a lot of angry calls the next day because they couldn't understand my illustration. What was this? So I had to do a lot of research kasi ganyan.
Yeah.
So, baptism of fire yun. And then I stopped being a reliever of the reliever. And then finally I became a formal editorial cartoonist for the Inquirer in 2018,
Yeah.
until I got axed in 2020. So
Oh,
I've been doing an editorial cartoons since 2018
oh,
up to
okay.
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. That's a nice story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me ask, Pitik Bulag, they do a lot of cartoons against disinformation and stuff. Now, how has disinformation affected the Philippine politics, and how has it affected the wider Philippine society? What are your three thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start with that. Yeah, I mean, I think before the age of social media has has arrived in the Philippines, I think the media, like traditional media, like in the newspapers, in the radio, and the TV, used to have this, a near monopoly of ideas, like in the marketplace of ideas, media has a monopoly on that.
Mhm.
And even though like social media sites such as Facebook, Twitter, I think Facebook was the major one, arrive as early as um 2006, 2008, the Philippines. I think it didn't affect the politics and the discourse that much in 2010, 2013, as early as 2007. I think during the advent of the smartphones and increased wider access to Facebook, for example, when they have the free Facebook. I think it paved the way, you know, to what we had, the predecessor to this current president. It helped, amplified his iron fist promise, in which he delivered, unfortunately. Um, so we have this media today, and because of the disinformation, because it's not only the media has been releasing information, like basically it's free for all, so it paved way to the influencers, to the bloggers who are either who volunteers to do this, or paid to do this, spewing disinformation, or what we call the alternative facts, what we
Yeah.
call about that. So as time goes on, I think you could see it on the ratings on the TV, on the measured television, that there's a decreasing audience, and the people prefer to watch stream videos, streaming services like Netflix. um they watch um the vlogs, of this, what you call the influencers.
Yeah.
um so yeah, like no wonder that you know um the media is like under threat. I think, not mentioning the continued oppression against the media, or traditional media, or the online media like Rappler. I think yeah, or Doc Robbie has something to say about this topic.
Yeah, I understand totally. I agree with you completely. The prior to the net, prior to social media and all, uh, we get our information mostly from traditional media, radio, television, newspapers, and they were pretty much very well controlled. Not controlled, but uh, they were edited properly. Generally, I mean, people before they came out, there was fact checking prior, and if something wrong came out, if something erroneous, an erratum will be published the next day or a couple of days after. And these are generally done by responsible adults. Now, everybody is a journalist. Everybody who has a smartphone, everybody's a journalist. They can put out anything out there. And right now, these irresponsible people are bringing out a lot of misinformation. We are now covered in a fog. Imagine yourself, the reality, the world is there, tangible aspects, but we're all surrounded in a fog of misinformation. And there are also mirages. So the fog will shield us from the truth, and the mirages will create artificial images. And that's the job of people like you, Angelo, Zach, Steph, and us, in general, to blow away this fog, to expose the real thing.
Yeah.
We do it in different ways. People will write about it, people will draw about it, but we have to fight this. We cannot just complain and say, and you can't just ignore. You cannot just ignore this misinformation. You have to face it head on. Some people are telling me, you're wasting your time. But no, you're not wasting our time. We should be doing this. I have so much white hair. I'm too old to do this. I started only a couple of years. I mean, I'm
Well,
of
I have no
retiring
hair,
age.
so you're better than me. So,
No, but young people like Zach and many others are there. They're spearheading this, and we should be doing this for the sake of our children. My children to are old enough to recognize what is truth and what is not. But there are a lot of blind people out there. And because of that, we are now immersed in this political quagmire. This is false information, alternative facts, that Zach would say, has brought this nation to its knees. We are now suffering because of that. People think the previous administration and now this current administration is all, bread and honey for the nation. But no, and now not just that, they're demonizing the real good that past administrations have really created. So, and people feed on that. We have to do something about this false information that's roaming around. And this is one of the ways we can share, and that's one of the ways we can fight it. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Steph, maybe your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I agree with Zach and Doc Rob. I guess I'm with the disinformation that's happening now in the Philippines and US and practically everywhere. I think it bothers me more than others because I used to work for a leading major newspaper, and I I saw how much research and dedication that goes into the writers and the
I think she
Utol.
froze.
Yeah.
I'll wait a little bit and see.
I think while
editors.
Steph, okay.
Oh,
Steph is back.
I'm really afraid for the generation now because they get their news from social media. And if can I inject some Tagalog words kasi it helps me
First.
I think kasi before yung generation natin nung yung may newspaper, hindi sa Inquirer hindi lalabas ang isang article or report without due diligence, without research, and then they confirm with their editors and they discuss it. And they wouldn't put their printed name on the author would not put his name there in print without facts na mabibigay niya doon sa whoever is going to read this article. Now, people hide behind those who give news, fake news now. They hide behind fake names, fake accounts.
yeah.
And nakakatakot all the people who are on social media, they believe these people. And then, ang masama pa sa Facebook, and may power ka to share the false information, diba? Thereby, spreading and perpetuating fake news. So I'm afraid for the generation now. So, pero I feel, I feel parang lucky din that we have social media at the same time that we can use to spread our, editorial cartoons para mas maraming tao maaabot than the printed page. But still, medyo mahirap din because of the disinformation that's going around ngayon. It's parang overwhelming for us. Paano ka ba malalabanan to with just my editorial cartoon, di ba? Yun, so that's it.
Your cartoons help. Don't worry. All of our cartoons help in a way.
Thank you. Yes, I know, I know. So I'm glad I'm part of Pitik Bulag and Rappler kasi on my own, I don't think I can do much.
Yeah.
That's how I feel though.
Okay. Okay. Well, we have 7 minutes for this first meeting, but in the 7 minutes, I forgot to ask, all of us are a part of Pitik Bulag. Now, how did that form? Yeah, could someone tell me just in 7 minutes how Pitik Bulag came into being?
Yeah, I think if that's who's the person, I think I'm the one who should. Yeah, I think we started Pitik Bulag prior to pandemic. So we actually noticed that in the Facebook landscape, I mean, we have these art groups, who are supposed to showcase, the art in the Philippines. They tend to gatekeep
Oh.
certain types of art, like political art, especially if the art is seen as as anti-admin. So this kind of um pushed me and Dennis, who was already my Facebook friend
Mhm.
back then. We made this group, and it's called Pitik Bulag. So Pitik means like something like that. I don't know how you call it in English.
Flick, I guess. Flick.
Flick, like that.
Yeah.
Flicking those um
Blinders,
blind people. I
blinders.
think it's loosely based on the game, so it's
Yeah.
like making uh,
Making
you
people
hit
see, I guess.
those who are, especially those who are pretending to be blind,
To
something like
see.
of a wake up call. So something like the cartoons, like what Pitik Bulag does. So it's supposed to you know people provoke people so they'll become aware or become to understand um the social realities that has been happening in this country. And suddenly the pandemic came, and all of the people are trapped in their homes. The traditional editorial cartoons that's usually held on site, especially those organized by DepEd, or Department of Education here in the Philippines. They do editorial cartoon contests. So that's why me and Dennis decided to organize our first Pitik Bulag editorial cartoon contest. We made that. I think if I could recall what was the topic. I think the topic was about. I think it's about protecting. I think it's about the state of press freedom. In the Philippines. I think that was the topic. I think I should. Yeah, I did. That was the first. So the topic was about the state of press freedom in the Philippines. We organized this contest, on the wake of the shutdown
Yeah.
of the ABS-CBN and the filing of, I think this was still a few days or a few weeks, before the cyber libel raps were filed against Rappler. Um, so there are a lot of cartoonists, young cartoonists, aspiring cartoonists, and also um, established cartoonists who actually submitted this, because we had this digital category, open category, and student category. One of which who joined was Doc Robbie. Um, he joined the digital
Good job.
category. Yeah, I remembered he drew about um, I think the previous president, stepping on one ant. Um, and then there's a group of ants forming a hand holding a pen, a huge pen.
Oh, okay.
I think that was striking in the sense that um, there's a there's an outcry before, the
Yeah.
attack the attack on one is the attack on many.
Yeah.
So I think that's the central message behind that. And yeah, I mean that was successful, because there are more than 100 people who joined that contest, and one of
That
which who
was my
joined
first
was
editorial cartoon ever. First ever. First
Oh,
first,
edu.
and one of which who joined was Benar Cahill, the late Benar Cahill,
yeah.
was ambushed and killed last year. We're just glad that that contest was successful, and um actually we got burned, or the political idiot, to be part of that as contestant, and then on the next contest we already had Byrne as one of our judges.
Mm.
So as time goes on, when we organize in the next two, three, or 2 and 3 contests, um, our circle grew, and I think that further cemented when actually it was Rappler. Um, I think Jules approached me to become a Facts First Page ambassador. As an individual, because of my page Kartunista Zach, and I said, why not just make it into like group, because I think we can do much more if we join as a collective. So that's why we assembled cartoonists who can be part of this collaboration on Facts First page. So we collaborated to amplify the fact checks that has been released by other Facts First page partners,
Yeah.
like ABS-CBN, Outer Media, Baguio Chronicle, and other news and civil society organizations. By creating cartoons, or creating comics, translating these fact checks into drawings. Um, I think Robbie can add more about that. How why are cartoons more? How can cartoons help in amplifying um the fight against disinformation? What makes it? Do you think? You know, can hear
Well,
more from you.
the nice thing about cartoons, it's a universal language. You don't have to, especially it's the tricky part is creating one that has no words.
Yeah.
Um, that's the holy grail for me, putting it all in one picture with no words, and anybody can understand it. That's the holy grail of cartooning for me. Um, and you can express any idea. Uh, maybe it may be political, it may be a gag cartoon, but in this context, political cartoons of old, in the past, people were so used, even if you look back into the history of cartooning, they were so used to putting labels on names, even if the people actually look exactly like. If you look at the cartoons of post-war or even post-war, I've looked into the history of political cartooning, and these are pen and paper drawings, and there are always labels. There's always labels, and now people have become more creative. We've been drawing things without putting labels, and people will understand. And that's how to express an idea. It's a cliche. A picture will paint 1,000 words, and that's the right way to do it. It's the right way to do it. You spread the word by drawing a picture that everybody will understand. In the general context of the culture, of course, not all cultures will not see it, but in most Filipino and a lot of Western cultures, the style of cartooning we have here, I think, adapts quite well to the rest of the Western world, and the word will get spread around. It will get spread around. So it's that's the challenge, how to create a picture without having to explain it. And our esteemed group, there's such a talented bunch of people. They draw quite well, and they can express their ideas even without having to explain it in words. So sometimes I resort to that as a strip, but because the Philippine society is a very heterogeneous society. We have different levels of understanding, like it or not. Some levels of some people will not understand the one I was saying, one picture, wordless. Not everybody will understand that. So sometimes we do have to say it in words. So the fantastic thing about the Pitik Bulag group is that people work with different styles. Okay, you see that we are free to work with our own styles. Nobody is boxed up in a single type of drawing style. You are permitted to do any style that you want, as long as you express the idea. It may be wordless, it may have dialogue in it, that doesn't matter. But as long as we get the word out, we have to fight disinformation, then so be it.
Yeah, well, I'm in America and I've seen cartoons from around the world and stuff, and I have to say that the Philippine cartoonists are some of the best cartoonists around and stuff. So you guys do good work and stuff. So, yeah, yeah. Well, okay. Did you have anything to add, Steph, or should I go to the next question?
Um, well, maybe I could say now, before I became an editorial cartoonist, always held I Jess Abrera, our editorial cartoonist then. I always liked his work. I admired that guy very much. Um, what I liked about his work was um it when you see his editorial cartoons, it encourages the one who sees it to read up on the article the editorial cartoon is based on. Here, so that's my aim when I make editorial cartoons. It's to inspire people to dive into the article that the editorial cartoon was based on, and hopefully maybe change the mind of one troll at a time. That's my goal actually. So, ayun, yeah, editorial cartoons when done right can really change the course of some of things. And like what Doc Rob said, ang goal ko rin is to be able to make a cartoon that has no labels. Kasi if you put words in it, labels or whatever, some will not understand yung labels mo and all that, and they will get turned off by the editorial cartoon. So, yun. Before, my first editorial cartoons had so many labels. Even the characters there, because I wasn't so good at caricature then, I had to label the persons or the personalities in the cartoon. As years went on, I tried to train myself how to um get the idea across without using so many labels or names on my editorial cartoon. So far, it has helped naman. I've reached quite a few na rin. May natuwa rin naman. No trolls yet. Only one or two. So, it's either I'm being too neutral, either I'm being too neutral, or I'm doing it right. I don't know. I hope it's the second.
Yeah. Well, I'm guilty of too many labels on my cartoons. I haven't yet weaned myself out of that and stuff. So
Yeah.
don't worry and stuff.
I
Yeah.
think, I think to add to that, I think each of us has individual style. So,
Yeah.
well, less is more, but it's up to the cartoonist because all of us have different styles. So, I think what Steph and Robbie has built, based on the conversation a while ago, that yeah, I think in fact checking, the usual fact check articles are usually lengthy and they require to read, like 200 to 500 words. So I think like what Editorial Cartoon does in the editorial page, it makes a visual representation of the fact check.
Yeah.
So it can attract, it can do eye catching. It's eye catching, and hopefully can compel the readers to read more about the fact checking article. But I think
Yes.
most of the time, cartoons already contain, what is inside those fact checks. So this, and we're glad that in this Pitik Bulag collective, for Facts First PH, we've made over 200 cartoons and comics, and caricatures. And we just had our access to the Rappler website because we have our separate Pitik Bulag community, and I think it's formally called Rappler's Lighthouse. I think it's Lighthouse communities. And yeah, in the future, yeah, the future is bright, and we want to do more contests, more collaborations, and more projects, for us cartoonists.
Do you feel all famous now that you're in Rappler and you're with Maria Ressa? Do
No,
people ask for your autographs and
I don't know, like I
I
think
think it's kind of cool actually. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
yeah,
it is. It is.
should be like I think probably we're gonna make this our bragging rights, once we were able to achieve, what we want.
Yeah.
I think what we really want, is to, finally to get out of this mess. Like I
Yeah.
think we have a lot to do first. We have to because Philippines is in a very deep mess. And while we are still in this dark times, I think what we should prioritize, is to, continue this to fight, and continue the struggle.
Okay. I was going to ask this later, but I might as well ask this now since you're talking about it. Recently the State of the Union just came up, right? Marcos and stuff. Now, Marcos has been president for a year now, right? For the three of you, how do you think the first year has been? And
It feels like it's been more than a year already.
Oh, it has been more than a year. Oh, okay.
It feels like it.
Oh, okay.
I
It's
don't
like
know.
eternity. Yeah.
Yes. I can't believe it that he won, and I don't know. We all know that it was rigged anyway, the election. What bothers me is that people aren't doing anything, so
Mm,
that's it.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's an utter mess. The way
Yeah.
he's covered, the way he handles things. You can look everywhere in any department that he has handled. Look at how he's handling agriculture. There's no support at all for the farmer. There's no support for fisheries. Look at education. We don't even have an educator in the helm. Look at health. The slot was empty for a year. There was no impediment in appointing the current health secretary. Not that I agree with the appointment. There are a lot of better people out there for health, but it's not a priority at all. The COVID vaccination program, they stopped it just before the election. He did not even try to continue it. And now, because of that, we have so many expired vaccines.
Mm.
Nobody would want to donate anymore. The remaining 1 million doses that we have, it's not even given out to those who need it. It's being given out as a third booster. Anyway, I digress. The way Marcos has been handling it, the way he is not capable of handling this country. He is poorly prepared for this. He is badly educated. He's not even educated about it. He knows nothing about law. He knows nothing about economics. The programs that he mentioned in the SONA, the State of the Nation address, the bright ones were rehashed ideas from previous uh, administrations, and not the Duterte administration. It's from the Aquino administration.
Mhm.
So he's not ready for this. He's obviously we don't have the right people. If we have the right people up in the helm, we should be improving right now. From the time that we came from this pandemic, we should be going up. Economy should be going up. They keep bragging about GDP rate increase, which is the highest. Gross domestic product is merely an indicator of how much government is spending, and they underspent last year. So obviously, it's going up because they underspent the budget last year, and that doesn't translate to lower prices. It doesn't translate to more jobs. China did it. They should have learned from China. They tried to raise their GDPs by their GDP by creating huge cities which are unoccupied and people cannot afford it. And these huge cities are empty. They have 10-lane roads on each side, and these are empty. And now they're being destroyed, right?
I
And
didn't
that's
know that
such
about
a
China. I didn't know that about China. Yeah.
yeah. China created massive cities, buildings, condos, malls, and they're ghost
Yeah.
cities. Nobody lives there
Um,
because the typical worker cannot afford it.
yeah.
They just they made it. They created those cities to show that they have high to raise their GDP artificially, and now they're useless.
Yeah.
They're useless, which also created a debt problem within their own country. Anyway, going back to our own country, the
But no,
sauna is just one massive joke.
okay.
That's my only
Yeah.
observation about it.
Robbie, don't
I
don't
didn't even waste
apologize.
time listening to it.
Yeah, don't apologize. The reason I'm talking to you guys is, you in the Philippines know more about what's going on there than I do in America. So that, it's good that Filipino Americans listen to you so we can learn. So don't apologize for,
No. I'm not apologizing at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Zach, do you have anything to add or?
I mean, well, I think in addition to what Doc Robbie said, I think some people are saying that, I think many people are saying that, you know, the press freedom improves under this admin, but I think probably all the profanities, all the curse words, all the foul words are gone, but I think the oppression still continues against um the media or the free press here in the Philippines. I think, and I mean, even though I do criticize through our cartoons, I always give benefit of the doubt, or give a chance to this administration, but still the same. I think there's still a lot of lapses that are still happening. And like what Doc Robbie said, like we have a we have a lot of people who could do better, who are more specialized on what they do, that we can put on the respective departments, but still I think it hasn't still been realized as of now. So we're still 1 year into this term, and there's still even this hope that you know I mean, this is a chance for this president to prove those critics wrong.
Yeah.
This is a chance that he can impress or show to the international community that this president is doing well for this country.
Yeah.
And in his first year, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, when I
I
found out he became president, I want to be wrong about him. You know what I mean? I expected the worst, but I want to be wrong, because if I'm wrong, that means the Philippine benefits. But if I'm right, then the Philippines is in trouble, right? And
I
stuff.
mean,
So
the very least that they can do is to say to the public that they're accountable of the lapses that they have made,
yeah.
and they could just like say that we are very sorry that we made this, but I think they don't do that because it's based on what they have released in the public. It's all it's like PR, all PR, but on the actions, on the actual achievements, um, they lack that one.
I'm curious. You were talking and stuff, and you mentioned. I was going to ask this later, but I'll ask this now too and stuff. The preceding president, Rodrigo Duterte, he encouraged extrajudicial killings. He instituted attacks on journalists, lawyers, mayors, priests, human rights activists. Um, has you know has there been a difference between Marcos and Duterte in terms of human rights? I guess for all three of you, or what do you think?
Step first. I've been talking too much.
Uh, well, with regards to human rights, I think Duterte tops the list of I think he's number one in yung field of not respecting human rights, what they expect from a goon anyway. So
Yeah.
uh I don't think it has improved, but maybe during Duterte's time, he was actually proud of how much he tramples on human rights. Marcos is more of a, right, for me, well, in Duterte was we were dealing with the killer. Marcos naman, we're dealing with a petty thief. Yeah, the thief, you know. So
So that's the difference.
yeah, that's the difference. Maybe before I was a bit afraid I was a bit afraid for myself, you know, coming out or making editorial cartoons that are anti-Duterte and anti-Duterte. In fact, when I was doing editorial cartoons during Duterte's administration, before our editorial cartoon was given a go signal to be printed, it had to go through several people.
Oh,
Uh, First, my opinion editor, and then our publisher, and then our publisher is also a lawyer. So, you know, I experienced a lot of censorship then during the Duterte's time in the paper. Uh, the one who decided, actually, I was the one who had the power to decide actually what goes into my editorial cartoon then was the Inquirer lawyer, top lawyer, because to he didn't want the paper to print out something that could anger Duterte or his administration and end up giving trouble to the paper. So a lot of my editorial cartoons then were really censored. And
I didn't
yeah,
know that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So there's a lot of self-censorship just
So
so you don't get
yes,
sued. Yeah.
no, no, not even self-censorship. It was censored by the higher ups there
Uh,
in the business side.
Oh,
Some people in the business management side, because they were getting calls from the administration. Hey, you cannot. They were having threats. During the time of they were they were bullying the Inquirer.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, that's why we had a lot of problems, and it contributed, I guess, to the decline of our paper.
Yeah.
The trouble we had from Duterte. Yeah.
As a woman cartoonist, has that been a struggle for you too? Because I've heard that many Philippine women journalists have gotten harassed. Has that been a special struggle for you as a woman cartoonist, or is it just
Um.
it's just cartoonist in general?
Well, no. During the time, because I guess my editorial cartoons were pretty safe.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get too much flack from the Duterte administration. I didn't get any libel suits or anything because it was being censored already. It was being watered down. So, well, I felt a bit of frustration then because it seems that somebody else is doing the editorial cartoon for me, and I'm just somebody who's going to draw it on paper. Somebody's dictating what I should put.
Yeah.
So eventually, I had to learn how to censor myself because I put in too much effort into illustrating or interpreting a political issue, and then here comes somebody comes by and says, "Oh, you cannot do this. You cannot illustrate that. Please censor this. Please change that."
Mhm.
If the article was about Duterte, I had instructions from the higher ups not to put his whole face. I could only put this much or this much. So they
Uh,
cannot, if
so how can you
Duterte
recognize him?
says,
How can you recognize him if you only have that much?
well, I put it this much. I make sure I show his nose, his big nose, with the dots there.
Oh no, my God, that's a
Yeah,
huge.
so,
No,
I always
it's a major identifier, the nose.
his nose like that.
My
So
God.
I don't know.
Yes.
And then, so our lawyer would say if Duterte comes and says, "Hey, is that me? I can sue you, but I'm going to sue you for libel for saying that." You say that's you. It's only shows half of the face of someone. So sometimes I've ended up doing editorial cartoons that were so watered down
Yeah.
that it only showed one. I think I had one that showed only a hat. I mean, what's that? I mean,
Yeah.
how are they going to understand what the article is about if we're left with just that one hand illustration? Well, I cannot do it, but sometimes I feel like my hands are tied. So
Um,
sometimes I don't sign it. You can see if I protest against this particular editorial cartoon, if you don't see my signature there. If I
yeah.
don't like it, if I feel that the editorial cartoon has been stripped of a lot of the important elements, I don't sign it.
Okay.
That's the only way I could protest that, hey, this is not what I wanted. I'm letting my readers down. I'm not gonna sign this.
Oh,
This is what you want here. Here. I'm not gonna sign it. I'm gonna illustrate it, but I'm not gonna sign it.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my way of protesting against censorship. And so,
Yeah. We only have 8 minutes for this meeting. Do you mind if we do one more Zoom meeting and stuff? Do you have time? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good,
Okay.
good.
I think
Okay.
we can have this. We can have this until 12 because
Okay.
I have yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
up to 12, I think. Yeah.
But
So in
actually,
7 minutes.
like thanks,
Okay.
Steph, for saying that one because that's a
yeah.
huge input when I talk
Ah,
Oh yeah,
in
yeah,
the
sure, sure.
Netherlands.
Don't worry, I'm not editing that out and stuff. But in 7 minutes, you guys have anything to add to that? How has for you, do you think Duterte, is Steph right in saying that Duterte is the murderer, but Marcos is the thief? Is that a good description of the difference between them? Or is it that the
Sure.
human rights abuses are pretty much the same?
I
yeah.
think the killings are
Okay,
less.
sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think killings are less, but human rights. Let's start with Senator De Lima. Okay, she was just acquitted of her offenses, but she was acquitted. Then they protested the acquittal, and now the court has upheld the acquittal. So she should be released anytime, right? Now,
Yeah.
we will find out in the next few days if the release will be there because the Marcos is just sitting on this. I don't know what he has to gain from the protecting Duterte. Okay. Because it's Duterte who placed her in prison. I don't know what he has to gain in trying to keep her in prison or what. But
Hey, Robbie, can I ask you something?
yeah, of course.
Sarah Duterte is vice president, right? Could that be part of is that a part?
That could be part of the reason, yes.
Okay.
But Sara Duterte is, well, indirectly, not directly linked to Laila de Lima's problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just not directly related. It's the father. It's the father who imprisoned her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I know we have a little time. As far as Steph's drawing is concerned, they're pretty spot on. And as far as my drawings of Duterte is concerned, and in general, my drawings, when I feel that there is something, I can get in trouble with my drawings, I have a lawyer friend. I ask my friend, I show it to her, I ask her, can they is this potential libel case? Then she'd answer, no, you're okay with that? It's okay. So I go ahead and post it. I do a lot of self-censorship because I don't have an editor-in-chief. I don't work for any newspaper. Right now, a lot of editorial cartoonists are out of their job because there's really no, you don't see editorial cartoons now in papers, right? Right, Zach? A lot of papers have removed the cartoon from their editorial page from the
Yeah.
column.
Yeah. I got let go of my newspaper in the Filipino American, but for them it's not censorship. It's because of the budget. They're just not. They don't. They're having budget problems in the paper I used to work at and stuff. But
Well,
yeah,
budget is not much of a problem here because they hardly pay the cartoonists. Right? They don't a lot of budget for the artists, which is
Yeah.
bad. And I think it happened mostly in the from 2016 to 2022 when Duterte was around. Slowly we saw the dwindling away of the paper printed editorial cartoon. It has disappeared.
Okay.
Yeah.
As ABS-CBN, there was a big deal about it not getting the franchise. Did it get it back, or is it still doesn't have the franchise?
Well, they have a YouTube channel.
Oh.
You see
But it
them
doesn't have the
in
same reach, right? It doesn't have the same reach
No,
as if you had
no, it's not on free TV anymore. No.
Yeah. I read in various news sites and stuff that one of the reasons that Marcos got elected was that for years, I guess Rappler did a series in 2019 about a disinformation campaign on social media to make the Marcos era, the martial law era, seem like a golden age and stuff. And you guys are doing cartoons to try to fight disinformation, right? This very thing that the Marcos family are doing and stuff. You know, for those of you who may have memory of martial law, how has this been? I mean, is it like a nightmare coming back again, or?
Well, it's we have a bit more freedom now. If it were the 70s style martial law, we wouldn't be speaking here right now. We would have been picked up months ago or a year ago from what we've been doing. It's different. It's different, but it's now more blatant. The abuses are more blatant. They don't care. They know they cannot silence people, but they're still gonna keep doing their crimes quite openly. It doesn't matter for them if they know they're exposed, but okay, we're exposed, we don't care. We're still gonna do this Maharlika laundering thing. We're still gonna do this. We don't care. All they care about is that they get back in power. They get back whatever they have stashed away, and it's a laundering thing, I think. And even Bongbong and Aimee have both expressed this. They came into this, they went into this presidency bid only to save their name, only to bring back their name. Nothing else. There's nothing else. Everything else is secondary. So I have memories of martial law. It was far more scary back then. But right now, there are also ways we have to watch our back, of course. We have to, because there are zealots out there. I've received, it's been a while, but it's been some time. It's a time of Duterte, not now. I have received a death threat. I was quiet for a while, but nowadays, no. I try to keep my cartoons on the humorous side, but humor, when it's true, it stings, right? That's how I deal with it. My style is different. I feel I don't get death threats nowadays. I'm happy about
I
it.
don't want you to get death threats, so
No,
don't.
I don't have.
That's
I
not
haven't
my
had
objective.
in more than a year. No,
I want you to
in
live a
in
long
2 years,
life.
more than 2 years. No.
Okay. Yeah, Steph, you talked a little bit about your experience during the martial law too and stuff, right? How bad was
Yeah.
it?
Well, I didn't experience anything firsthand during martial because I was really quite young then. The stories I just got from my mom, my dad, and my aunt, whose friends had some. I had a brush with the martial law had martial law experience and being harassed. One was kidnapped and raped and all that.
Yeah.
So I know that it was really terrible before. I had for people who tell me my relatives who tell me stories about martial law. So yeah, no, I really have no on that first-hand experience with that, but I've heard stories from relatives and friends who experienced the harshness of martial laws.
Yeah. Now, the thing I always wonder is why doesn't the younger generation know?
I don't know. Maybe because it's girls, they choose to get their news from social media. Maybe they don't know how to filter what's real and what's not.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Ah,
Zach. Don't they teach
yeah.
this at schools?
It
Didn't they
does.
teach?
Yes, they
No,
do, but
it's watered down.
some textbooks are or edited, right? The some of the textbooks. But me, I don't remember anything during my time in school. I don't remember being taught anything about martial law in history class.
Oh,
Probably not. They didn't touch on that.
okay. Which is strange and stuff. Wouldn't that be the
Yes,
one thing they want you to learn and stuff? So,
they don't want you to learn anything about it, I suppose.
okay, okay, yeah,
Even my daughter now in her history class, they don't read about much about martial law. So I have to be the one to explain to her or tell her the things that I've heard from what martial law was like.
yeah. So I'm curious. Sarah Duterte is Secretary of Education too, as well as Vice President. Do
This
you
is true.
worry about her tampering with the history books even more?
Probably. Yeah, because she and Marcus are like that. They're friends with benefits, so I suppose
Okay.
friends with benefits are, but
The
yeah,
benefits is power, right?
pro- yeah, so they have a tit for tat. Also, maybe you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of deal.
Okay.
So yes, probably
Oh,
she was put there to maybe help clean up their name.
okay.
Yeah, and yes, I believe so.
Okay. Zach, is it near 12? Because I'm right now it's 8:53 in California.
11:52.
11:52. Okay. I guess let me end because Zach has to go pretty soon and
Yeah.
stuff. I guess I have one more question, and it's just that as Filipino cartoonists, what do you want the Filipino American community to know about the current situation in the Philippines?
That's a tough
I,
one.
I think
See,
it's tough.
go ahead.
Where to
Yeah.
begin?
I mean, there are two sides of it. It's because I don't know, when you go to abroad, of course, like in general, you'll feel like the privileges and other perks that you may experience when you're in the US than when you're in the Philippines. So probably um there may be some people living abroad, who might get blinded by the PRs and the propaganda, this administration is showing. But I know that there are also a lot of the Philams, who care about their home countries. We have a lot of, I think, organizations in the US. I think especially when they protested, when the president visited New York, we have those. Um, but I think even though there are differences on the lifestyle or differences in the economic, I think we still know a lot in common. Like having, there's still inequality, there's still a lack of access, that depends on your privilege. I think I don't like yeah, I mean what's happening in the Philippines is still bleak, but I mean we cannot blame the people on leaving, the country from the US. But then again, um it's still by luck because there may be a lot of people who wants to leave but they cannot afford or they don't have the opportunity to do it. That's why I didn't draw about leave the Philippines because with respect to those people who cannot leave because they don't have choice. So you know um no, I guess the film community can do something about this. I think I think the few weeks ago, I think some film workers protested, against this fast food chain, and it actually resonated with what's also happening in the Philippines. What's happening in that fast food chain. Those labor practices is also happening in the Philippines. Actually, it's much worse, I think. So, as I said, there are a lot of things, there are a lot of issues that Filipinos living here and the Phil-Ams there have, a lot in common than more than you expect. How about you, Doc Robbie or Steph?
Yep. Um, I think there are three subsets of Phil-Ams in the US. One is those who really just want to have their lives continue outside of the Philippines and they don't want have anything to do with their mother country. I don't blame them at all. The two other subsets, those are the ones who are aware of what's happening here. But one subset is those who genuinely care for the truth and what's happening in the political scene and the economic scene. And the other subset are those who seem to care, but they are bent on supporting this administration blindly. That's the subset of people that I think we have to target. We have to remove their blinders. We have to show them because they affect the people a lot here. They amplify the false propaganda. And what pains the people here are those, you are living thousands of kilometers away, but you don't experience it. And they still go on with the misinformation. And I think that's the one that we really have to target. Uh, Many people genuinely care about what's happening here, but many people also in the US also amplify the misinformation. And that's part of the task that we have to address. Social media helps us.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Zach,
it
do you
does.
need to go? Stuff, Zach? Do you need to go? If you need to go, let me wave you goodbye and stuff. Thank you for coming. And
Thank you,
then
Zach.
I'll let Robbie and Steph finish and stuff because I don't want you to be late for your meeting. But thank you for coming.
Zach, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Angelo, Steph, and Doc Robbie. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye-bye. So I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No problem. No
I'll
problem.
call you Doc Robbie too, since everybody else does. So,
Call me anything. Call me Robbie. Call me Doc. It's okay.
yeah, but I apologize for. I just wanted to say goodbye to Zach before he left. So
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, going back. Um, it's I don't understand why. I don't completely understand why many Phil-Ams choose to protect Marcos Duterte, spread the misinformation, and at the same time, like Steph said, hide under the cloak of anonymity. Um, it's a lot of blatant cowardice. You stand by a position, but you don't wanna reveal yourself. But there is definite harm in what you're doing. We have to stand up for ourselves and fight these people. At least expose them for what they are. And the only way we have to, I think the best way is really to do this, exposing our own natures, exposing our own names, not necessarily the faces, but this is one beginning. We and there are a lot of younger people who are interested in doing this. I see the work of Zach and Dennis. They go around and they're encouraging a lot of young blood who will go on doing this.
And also you became a cartoonist because of them, right?
Yeah, old chronologically, but
No, I was gonna say young at heart,
yeah, young in the field. I think young in the field. Yeah. Thank you. Yep.
Okay. So Steph, what would you want Filipino Americans to know about the current situation in the Philippines?
Well, I had a little background. Do you know, before the May elections in 2022, we were actually in the process of um, migrating to another country.
Oh,
We were actually thinking about it. And then when Lenny expressed her desire to run, we decided not to pursue it because I said, oh, this is going to be a um, wonderful time to be in the Philippines, after 4 years of Duterte. I wanted to be part of the Lenny administration, to be part of it, but when Marcos won, uh, I don't know. I'm
Crossroads.
looking again into moving to another country, if not for myself, but for my children's future. So if I was angry before during Duterte's administration, now I am angry. Plus, I feel really hopeless about. I'm sorry, I'm so pessimistic. I've never been this pessimistic before, but I'm a bit hopeless about the next 3 years, and worse, what will happen after Marcos administration, right? It might be Duterte again, and then Tulfo. They say it's going to be Sara Duterte and Tulfo for VP. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So I'm actually grateful for the Phil-Am community because I see that they protest whenever Marcos is there, or whenever he signs into law something that's pro corruption. They stage a protest in the States. Here, I think they do more protesting than we do here. I don't see anybody protesting about Maharlika, about De Lima still being in prison, or Gadon being given a position in government. Nobody's protesting. So I think there are more. I think those who are abroad care more about what happens here than we do. Nobody's doing anything. I don't know why. So at least we are part of a group with Rappler na we share our thoughts and our about the things that are going on here. I'm really proud to be part of Rappler because after Inquirer there is nothing else. There is no other institution that that is a voice or a light in all of this that's happening now. So I'm really grateful to be part of Pitik Bulag and Rappler. After our editor-in-chief, Miss Letty Magsano, died in 20 when did she die? Before 2016, I think 2010, 2012. She was one of those who spearheaded the anti-Marcos and she was one of the main figures in the EDSA rally that brought about the EDSA rally. When
Yeah.
she died, she had no successor. So, and then the only person who I think comes close to the passion she shared for the Filipino people is Maria Ressa,
Yeah.
I think, and Rappler. She's the only person that I see now who can help us get out of wherever we are now. So I'm really grateful to be part of Rappler. Without Rappler, I don't know what's gonna happen with us.
Yeah, I have to say that I'm inspired by you guys and stuff because you guys are doing these cartoons in a tough
Yeah.
situation and stuff. So I admire you. I do cartoons critical of Duterte and Marcos, but I'm safe. You know, I'm in America and stuff, so I can, the things that you talked about, I haven't had to worry about and stuff. I don't know what Duterte and Marcos's popularity is among Filipino Americans. So I don't know. I do know that one of my former friends, I went to a friend's mom's wake, and I met my former dentist who I hadn't seen in a long time. And the first thing she told me was that she was a Duterte supporter, and it was a very uncomfortable. It was a very uncomfortable wait because I hadn't seen my other friend in years and stuff. And when she found out I did cartoons against Duterte and stuff, she made it a very uncomfortable time and stuff. But I didn't want to argue because
During your dental appointments?
yeah. No, I switched
No
dentists by that
injection
time.
for you.
Yeah, but I have been inspired by younger. Well, I don't know how young they are, but well, they're younger than me and stuff. The younger Filipino American activists.
You
They've
don't
been
mind me asking, how old are you, Angelo?
56.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah,
turning 58.
50. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. We're around
Soon.
the same age, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we're about.
I'm not gonna say my age, huh? So don't ask me.
Never ask a woman her age.
yeah. I
No.
was not gonna ask, okay, but you look young, okay. You both look pretty young.
Thank you. That's filter. Filter for you.
Yeah, she has no memories of martial law. I remember. She said that.
I don't.
I have memories.
Really, I don't.
Yeah, I
Only
have
from what
memories
they
of
tell
martial.
me.
I have memories of martial law not because I was there, but because I lived in the Bay Area, and there's a lot of Filipino Americans in the Bay Area, and the
Yeah,
newspapers in the Bay Area covered the EDSA revolution a lot and stuff from the time
yeah,
Aquino got killed to the time of the revolution, and so I followed it pretty closely and stuff, and I knew a few people. Who came from the Philippines at that time and stuff, but I just want to say that that there are those younger Filipino activists who are protesting at embassies, protesting against so there is hope in that and stuff. But
yeah.
I don't know I don't think there's ever been a poll of how Filipino Americans think of Marcos and Duterte. So I don't know. I don't know if I've lost any friends because of my cartoons. I know one person at least I've lost, my former dentist, but I but I have a new dentist, so don't worry and stuff. But